Hello, my name is Mark. Today I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm here to read from the Daily Reflections book, which is available from AA.com. For free. You can go right to www.aa.com and they'll even send it right to your email. That might be the only way to do it. I'm not sure. Anyhow, so buy a copy of this book. I'm not trying to rip off or decline sales for them in any way. At any rate, because I plan on making a commentary after this. Today's reading from this book, the Daily Reflections book, for October 27th, 2025, is called Global Sharing. The only thing that matters is that he is an alcoholic who has found a key to sobriety. These legacies of suffering and of recovery are easily passed among alcoholics, one to the other. This is our gift from God, and its bestowal upon others like us is the one aim that today animates AAs all around the globe. That's from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book, found on page 151. This is another AA World Services book that you can buy from AA.com, I'm pretty sure. I'll use bookstore as another good place to get a copy that would be even in better shape than this one, I would think. You can find it online, like at Amazon. You can find it at an AA club. You can find it at an AA, I forget what they're called. Kind of a local chapter headquarters place where you can find copies of like the big book. I'm not going to, never mind. Where was I? Let's get to the reading here. The strength of Alcoholics Anonymous lies in the desire of each member and of each group around the world to share with other alcoholics their suffering and the steps taken to gain and maintain recovery. By keeping in conscious contact with my higher power, I make sure that I always nurture my desire to help other alcoholics, thus ensuring the continuity of the wonderful fraternity of Alcoholics Anonymous. I just went half crazy yesterday with trying to figure out if I'm doing this legally, I guess. What are the... Never mind. Well, wait, let me just... Dealing with anonymity and looking right at a camera talking, I found pros and cons to that within Alcoholics Anonymous guidelines, which I do not think are strictly legally enforced regulations. A lot of the stuff is a suggested guideline, like with the 12 steps and the 12 traditions, and some things seem to go right against the one of the traditions, with anonymity being the foundation of all our spiritual something. How's that go? Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. I want to tell you how much I really like principles before personalities. And maybe I only really like that because of my definition of principles before personalities. It's like I don't I need to strip away the packaging from the message. Just because, let's see, the visual appearance of another human isn't pleasing to me, and they say something very useful, insightful, clever, intelligent, and helpful for me, I used to be of the mind to not listen, follow, or try and implement whatever they had said. 90% based just on my initial, I don't like the way that person looks or smells, or how much that person weighs, or how long their hair is, and any manner of personal traits attributed to that human. So the principle that they were trying to instill upon me would be lost, because I would get I had all these preconceived ideas that were not true and not helpful. And this Alcoholics Anonymous, I mean, hopefully I would think maybe I might have stumbled upon this at some other point in my life, but seeing as how I am an alcoholic, to whatever definition you can come up with, I think I've satisfied my own diagnosis that I'm an alcoholic, and if I start drinking alcohol again, I rapidly lose control. And it was killing me 20 years ago. There's a whole bunch more to that, but I I 100% believe I need to stay away from alcohol. So, because of that, because of my illness or disease or difficulty handling my liquor, however you want to put it, I found Alcoholics Anonymous. And then through that, some very basic principles of life became clear to me, because they're right in these books from AA, and also demonstrated in action by the people at an AA meeting. And it's just, sorry about that noise when that hit the table. This thing again. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. So nowadays, and this has been years now, at least 10 years I think, I don't have as much difficulty listening to somebody's message anymore, period. Okay, regardless of what somebody looks, smells, and weighs, or whatever, so it's just the packaging of a message to me now doesn't matter. I don't necessarily care. Yeah, I think that's close. I don't necessarily care where the message came from. If it sounds good to me and it sounds like it's not going to harm me in any way, and I try it and I like the results. And this is a broad spectrum kind of thing, so a lot of times, let's say in science, psychology, well, psychology is science, so, or in physics, that's science. A lot of times in science, the conventional idea is good enough, and I believe that's somewhere, that's a tenet, if it's good enough, then just leave it alone, because that explains or satisfies a lot of observed phenomena. And we don't have any other ideas. So that's good enough. Then, something comes along from wherever. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Something comes along from wherever that either dials in and gets closer and defines better or to a newer level why the original conventional idea is falling short of being complete. I'll put it that way. And then there's a lot of hullabaloo before it's accepted as the correct way or whatever. Okay, so this kind of goes with a few things here that I said. Because of my difficulty with alcoholism, I found out Alcoholics Anonymous was available. And that started in the late 30s in the United States of America. I think in the state of Ohio. And by 2 people. It's 2025 now. It's nearly 100 years ago. A lot of the information in this book, the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, were formulated, or the ideas from one or two or both of the founding people of Alcoholics Anonymous from 100 years ago came up with these 12 traditions and 12 steps. And there have been developments in science, in medical science, in psychological science, and psychiatry that have either an alternate or better description or treatment modality for the ailment or disease, or because again I don't know what it's classified as now, alcoholism. I know for me what it is, and that's really all I need to know, and that's why I say this kind of goes along with something that's today's reading, and I'll get back to that here in a minute. I'm kind of pleased about this idea I have that principles before personalities. I might have stumbled upon that elsewhere other than Alcoholics Anonymous, and it might have been called something else. Don't judge a book by its cover, say. Is that an idiom? I believe so. So, I'm human though, and in my definition of a human, we have some traits that maybe aren't that helpful any longer, evolutionarily speaking, if that's how everything works, is that I'm lazy and I'm greedy. Let's just stick with those two right now. So, judging a book by its cover, that requires some kind of action on my part, and I may not want to do that. Or I judge a book by its cover, come up with a conclusion, decide I like it, and then just stick with it, and refuse any new input. So then I'm stuck with that, and then eventually maybe I don't like the results I'm getting any longer, and I review it. That's like step 10, which we're kind of talking about here, because it's the 10th month, and I believe why not talk about 10th step stuff in the 10th month. So, and the 10th step is continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Science, again, and conventional wisdom and stuff continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it through peer review. We get a bunch of other like qualified people in our field that are, well, I said qualified, and we all look at a new idea and decide, okay, that is a good idea. That is true. That's right. That's it's rigorous. It's anyway. We all agree, and then they submit a new paper or something and come up with an addendum to an existing law or something like that. Alcoholics Anonymous, as far as I know, doesn't really do that. So, the other day, when I said I drove myself crazy about looking at anonymity and copyright laws and well, let's just stick with those two because I forget, and it's not really the point. I ran across a lot of people actively against Alcoholics Anonymous, and by name, of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm like, isn't that libelous? How can you say all that stuff like on YouTube and not get sued in some way? And they have lots of followers or lots of likes, lots of views on the videos. And I read some of the comments, and some of it's good, some of it isn't. Now, here, let me get back to this thing that I don't really care where an idea comes from if it's helpful to me. If I do know the source, I would like to give credit to the source, because I believe that's important. I'm an artist also, and I don't like people ripping off my stuff. When I come up with stuff, we've all been influenced too by something else prior. So this is another sticky thing that this is how my brain goes. I just get all involved in this and I'll lose the point. Is there any true original work after some point in the past? Let's say, like a new person today that was born today, in 100 years, if they live that long, if humanity exists that long even, all the crap that's happened up until today, I mean, there's volumes of lots of information, and now we have the internet for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. 30, 40, yeah, but something. 60 years ago, we really didn't have the internet as such, that's for sure. We can come up with, what I'm trying to say is that it's all been written down before. It's just like the Bible in Ecclesiastes, I think, the Old Testament, very, very old writings from who knows exactly who, I don't know myself right now. And I don't know if it's a book from a prophet or if it's whatever. The thing, somewhere in there, the overall arching feeling I get from Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament is that there's nothing new under the sun. Okay, so is there truly ever an original idea? Yeah, okay. Now, back to I'm trying to cover myself here because I'm an artist and I don't like people taking my stuff and profiting from it in any way, really, and not at least saying thank you, whoever I called myself today, Mark, I think. If they could just say thank you, Mark, that would go a long way in preventing a lawsuit for actual recovery of money. Okay, so today's reading, global sharing. Where are we at for time? 19 minutes. The only thing that matters is that he is an alcoholic who has found the key to sobriety. These legacies of suffering and of recovery are easily passed among alcoholics one to the other. This is our gift from God, and its bestowal upon others like us is the one aim that today animates AAs all around the globe. That's from the 12 Steps to 12 Traditions book, found on page 151. The strength of Alcoholics Anonymous lies in the desire of each member and of each group around the world to share with other alcoholics their sufferings and the steps taken to gain and maintain recovery. By keeping a conscious contact with my higher power, I make sure that I always nurture my desire to help other alcoholics, thus ensuring the continuity of the wonderful fraternity of Alcoholics Anonymous, period, the end. So all the strife I put myself into yesterday, I always need to remember that if with just a little bit of patience does go a long ways, and something new will come down the pike, something else will come along and explain why everything's going to be okay. I just need to have faith that that's going to occur, and it always does. It always has. I'm sitting here alive now after a very tumultuous lifestyle for years. Anyhow, I'll get back with you later, I hope. Thank you for coming here. Good luck and goodbye.